All right, just want to ramble a little bit, just talk. And so I've had some discussions today on Facebook and off Facebook. Want to talk about a couple of things. One of the things that I would like to talk about is family and resources, as far as money and being a steward. When you're set as the father or the man of the house, what do you do with your resources and how do you move with your resources? Do you do things for your own benefit or do you do things that benefit the household? And so there are many opportunities to be selfish and do things that, okay, I made this decision. Or you can actually involve those that are involved in the decision making, or you can still let them know, and still you lead and move. So in my household, there's kind of a dynamic where I'm the head, well, actually Yahoo is the head, but I'm the acting head as far as the natural man. And so when there's any decision made by either one of us over $100, I'm involved in it, she's involved in it, and we make that discussion. And so a lot of times people move and have their own separate accounts and things of that nature, and they have their separate finances, separate bills, and in that, that's how they move. They, I guess, I can't really speak for any others and say how it works because it's not what I'm doing. There's many situations when it comes to finances that I've seen people struggle and have problems because when one goes down, the other is basically, charged to pick up that role. And a lot of times that does not happen. There's a fall down on that because it's like, that's your responsibility instead of them being one in that area. And so when you're one, you don't focus on, oh, that's yours, that's mine. It's ours. Everything is ours, the finances, the decisions, and all of those things. Though, yes, the responsibility is on the man because he is the head. He makes the final say. Those things affect the whole household. It doesn't just affect one person. So when you're doing things, you have to consider, your stewardship. So say, for instance, my objective is to always do my ministry towards my family first. And so there may be opportunities to minister outside of my family and do things like that. But if it caused me to neglect my family, which thing do I have to make the choice to do first? As a steward, my responsibility is for my household first. So if it comes to someone else having a need, I have to prioritize my family first. And so there are many times that in the past we were major givers, giving towards people's needs when they had lack in certain areas. Maybe they've had some form of destructive thing occur, maybe weather hit their home, maybe their car, no longer worked, they lost their job or whatever. And so we may insert some finances, insert some food or things like that. But when your own home is battling with those things, of course, which one takes the priority? Is it your home or helping someone else? And so you may get a lot of people reaching out. Oh, can you help? Can you help? But if you're on limited resources, does it make sense for you to take out of the mouth of your own family and support someone else and not knowing that that's going to be returned, or if in the same scenario, they would do the same? I know that we want to be helpful towards all, but I kind of look at the analogy that's given most of the times about a plane going down. They tell you that as the passenger, as the adult, you should put on your oxygen mask first before you then cover up your children or put a mask on them, because you are the rational person and the one responsible. If you were to put the mask on them, it's a likelihood that your mask wouldn't get on, or you might not get everybody's mask on. So if you do yours first, then you're more aware and you're able to move on to the next and on to the next. And so if I stabilize my home first, if there's overage, if there's more than enough, yeah, I can help someone else. But if I help that person and leave my home shattered, they may get on their feet and they may not. But then my home is shattered as well. And so now not just one family is destroyed, but two. And the responsible person, the person who was not in any dire straits in the first place, which was my household because it was being maintained, though on a thread, is now it's gone, it's destroyed. And my stewardship would be up to question. I relaxed my stewardship to try to help someone else and sacrifice my own home. Now, when you sacrifice yourself, that's a difference. But when you have a responsibility and you're a steward, your stewardship comes before things that are not under your care. Seeing that a father, a husband, those things would be under my command and order. So I would have some say in the matter. But when you do stuff for other people, you have no say. You can give them money that's supposedly maybe for their bills and foods. And if they choose to go gamble it, they choose to go drink with it, go get high, party with it. You really don't have a say. You can get upset about it, but what can you do? They are not under your authority, under your control. And yes, you help them, but you don't get to dictate what they do with the resources. Though in wisdom, might want to tell them what to do with it, but in the end, you don't have a say in what they actually do with it. Once it's released from your hand, you really have nothing that you can do with that, except for maybe get upset, be frustrated, be angry. But in the end, you're supposed to sin not. All right. Since I kind of spoke on family and finances, let's talk about debt. If you have debt, should you let it consume you? My thought is no, but it often does. When you have debt, especially as a marriage couple, a lot of times there are situations where the woman can feel, a lack of security. So a lot of times men, will strategize and say, okay, I'll pay this late, do this late. And they know which one is going to be up for, maybe collection, or which one is going to be sending a late point notice or a shut off or whatever. And they basically juggle it. But that does not make for a woman to be secure. And she has a very most women have a very compassionate heart towards their children, and so they like, okay, I could probably be left out in a situation, but I definitely have to make sure that my children are provided and taken care of. So that debt can actually hit heavier on a woman a lot of times. And so as a man, you want to eliminate that. You're already going away to work and, doing your thing or whatever, to bring in resources. But when you come home, you want peace. But how can you really have peace at home when your wife is basically uncomfortable, not knowing if you're going to be put out, lights going to be off, all those different things. And then the way the world is going, work, people losing their jobs and all this, it's going to be more and more where debt is going to be a concern. We're not supposed to worry about that as believers, but, again, my opinion, and one size fits all, those are things that people do worry about. But yet, I know you shouldn't, but to say you shouldn't and what you actually do is not always coinciding. It doesn't always match up. So over and over, you see people actually do worry and they fuss and they fight. And a lot of divorce has come because of debt and money management. I myself don't like that that's the case, but I can't control that. So that's something that I like to have secure. I like to knock out debt. There was a time in my life that I was off work for 10 months. I tore my Achilles and stuff like that. And of course, my wife stepped up and she was working and everything basically was taken care of. We had some insurance, stuff like that. And so it was a fear of mine because I had been married before and had some financial struggles then due to me losing my job wrongly. And basically the debt was in my name, and it was, said that's your responsibility. And I acknowledge, as the man, it is my responsibility. But sometimes you like to know that you have a help meet, someone that when you are not able to meet what's necessary, they help you. And so my wife stepped up and did that. And though I was uncomfortable, I was very worried that she may leave me. She basically reassured me. She encouraged me. She gave me everything I needed to get through my torn Achilles, to heal and basically get back to work. So when that occurred, basically my focus was, okay, once we got out of this, let's make sure that this type of situation does not take us out of the game. It didn't take us out of the game then. That was a storm that we weathered, but still, I wanted to make sure that this doesn't happen. So we vigorously start paying off debt. And a lot of times, when you're paying off debt, you have to eliminate a lot of the things that, you do for pleasure. So, if you go places, go out to eat and things of that nature, you may have to now choose not to do those things. And if you do them still, you may have to limit that. It may be something that you were doing like every 2 weeks, then it goes to every month or maybe every other month. Those times that you don't go, you start putting that towards savings or actually paying off the debt. Sometimes, you may miss out on this event that's going on. You may not be able to go on these certain trips. And it's hard because a lot of times when people invite you to things, and especially if they were there to support you, it can look as now you're not making their event as important as yours. And that's not the case. You could really, really want to do what you're being invited to. But of course, if you do it, it could be something that could put you back in debt, something that could have you now living check to check. And at the point that if anything happens, you could lose it all. That's not a good steward. That's not responsibility. So, you have to make a decision. And sometimes in that, you have to disappoint people that you love so that you can secure those that you are responsible for and you love. You love them all, but you have a responsibility as a husband and as a family man. A mother has responsibility of the children. Those things you have a responsibility of, you have to cover them. And so sometimes you're going to disappoint people. And then, when there are great times, you may be able to do something. But the problem with that is now you did one thing and you missed out the last thing. You went to his thing, you didn't go to mine. A lot of complications comes out in adulting. You becoming an adult, doing adult things. Those things could, basically cause you to lose friendships. And it shouldn't. You would think that they would comprehend and see that, okay, you're living life, but some people are doing better than others. And in that, they have an expectation that people will be able to do what they're able to do. There are people that finances are on fleek, as they say, or they used to say. I don't think they even say that term anymore. And they don't have any issues. They get new cars, new home, and all those things. But some people, that's not their path in life. It is not like that. Me, myself, I'm a laborer. I have a business and I definitely work that hard, but I end up working a lot of hours at my job. And so there's many a times that I miss out on events, not because I don't want to, but the finances not there, or I have to work. I have an obligation. My family is my first ministry, and that's my obligation. So after a while, maybe some people don't even invite me anymore. Thing is, though, if I say I'm going to do it, I do my best to try to make it there. I'm one that really truly believes in presence more than presence. I believe in being there more so than the gift. That's why when I do things, I invite people, and if they don't show up, it may bother me for a while, but I have to shrug it off because I want everyone to do what they believe or what they desire to do most. And if that's doing whatever they're doing, do that. It may bother me a little bit, but I want people to basically do what they desire to do most. And if I'm not that, so be it. That's a part of life. I want people to choose to do what they want to do for themselves and not basically, I don't want them to compromise themselves or just tolerate me. I don't, that's not what I want. I don't want something out of that. I want choice. And so I'm all about free will. I do believe that all free will comes with consequences. And so if you choose to have free will, you have to deal with the consequences. Some of our free will choices are things that can come against the Most High. And if they do, you got to deal with the consequence. As a parent, that is one of the biggest parts of our role. We're not here to be friends with our children, but we're here to teach them consequences for their choices. So we help them to make better choices. We may share with them some of our past missteps so that they don't have to, walk in those steps. But if they choose to, they have to deal with the consequences. We can't always save them. That's not our role. We have to allow them to actually depend on Yah or seek Yah. I get it. We do stand in the role of Yah many times. But once they become adults, that right there may not be the greatest option for them to come to us, and that we're rescuing them all the time. They have to learn to be that, I guess, responsible person, as well as be one that recognizes their opportunities and takes advantage of them. It's not the easiest thing, adulting. It's a task. I myself dealt with a lot of disappointment as a child, and I used to whine and have problems with it. But the good thing I found after years is that now the world doesn't disappoint me as much as, I don't expect certain things to be fair. And so I'm not quitting on life because things don't go my way. I may complain about it. I may get upset, but I'm still in the race. I'm still fighting. I'm still enduring to the end. I'm not out of it. And back then, when I was a child, I wanted to be out of it. That's a childish way of thinking. I'm trying to put away childish things. I'm trying to walk as an adult. And I also want to pass that on to my children. So I allow them to meet disappointment. I tell them no. That no is not the last stage or not the last phase. You'll hear a million no's, but that one yes. Sometimes that one yes is all that is needed to propel you to the next level. That one yes. When I was called myself learning to embrace or deal or seek out women, I was hunting. I got a many no's. When I met my wife, the woman that is my wife now in high school, she was a yes, but I had went through several no's prior. If I had given up and no longer sought a yes, I would not have even approached her. I wouldn't have these 19 years of marriage. I would have missed out on Yah's favor, and the fact that, I, after that time or whatever, I end up getting married, and, many years later, but I ended up getting married and that failed or whatever. I could have taken that failure and said, oh, I'm never doing this again. And I did have that mindset. And the woman who I knew in high school came around, and it's like, oh, that never going to do that. It's like, ooh, she never was that type of woman. And though I had baggage, I had issues, boom, Yah put in my life someone who's been so much of a treasure, so much of he didn't promise me to have a woman like this. I have a Proverbs 31. It's nothing that I could have done and nothing that I've done that merits it. And many times, even to today, I'm not worthy. I'm still very sarcastic, abrasive. I may tell the truth on a lot of things, but I'm not always the person that everybody's drawn to. I seem to repel people just being me. I learned to love me, but that doesn't mean everybody else is going to love me. My wife does. She adores me, and so it basically it opens me up more. Yes, my calling is sometimes to be the person that bears the bad news, or what is deemed the bad news. Sadly, there are many prophets all through the scripture. Not that I'm comparing myself to those prophets, but they bear the bad news. Some of them got smacked in the face for telling the truth because it wasn't a comfortable truth. Some of them got spit on. Some of them got mistreated. And I get mistreated, but I'm getting over it. I'm big enough now. I'm not going to get bullied. And I feel like I could whoop physically a lot of folks, but what did that doesn't represent Yah. So I have to learn to endure. I endure a lot. And again, I may whine and I may complain. I may vent instead of exploding. Try to do a lot better in that area because I am that I am. I'm connected to Ahaya or Yahuwah. I know this. But sometimes life happens and I get amnesia. I don't remember it at the time. I'm going through the struggle and I'm mad, I'm angry, and I'm just so tired. But then I tap back in and strength comes from nowhere. It's coming from somewhere, but it feels like it's like, where is it coming from? Energy from the inner me. Yahuwah has been in me all along. I've been a part of him all along. See, there's so much that shows his majesty and his glory, and we don't pay attention to it. We allow day-to-day things to take us off point. But the thing about it, though, you can recalculate and get back on point. If you're alive, if you're deceased, the game's over. And just in the analogy of game, I was talking with my brother. Me and my brother played this game called Marvel Contest of Champions. And every time you start the game from start, you have full life. But if you're been in fights or whatever, and you move to the next fight, you have the health that you were left with from the previous fight. Husband and wives, we have issues sometimes, but we have to learn to start the game over. Not play the tit for tat and hold on to the results of the last game. See, you enter into the next fight with maybe having 10% energy left. And see, in the game, you when somebody gets below 10% energy, the assassin in you can make one hit, take that 10% out at one time. But if they started with new health, that one hit, it just would glance off of them and not do that much damage. Most of us are starting fights already damaged. Starting fights with the previous damage from the last fight. We're not starting over. We're not clearing the slate. And we're wondering why our marriages, everything that's going on is dying. We got to learn to start over. The focus shouldn't be the fight. The focus should be enduring. And so when you put your focus on Yah and you love Yah more than you love your spouse, it changes the dynamics of the game. If you're only focused on them, you see what the misstep or whatever happened prior, and it's still fresh. But Yah has never done anything to you negative. He's done so much positive towards you. And if anything could be viewed as negative, it's a consequence or a chastening for what you did. He's holy. He's Kodesh. So when you focus on him, the mirror that you look into, you see your imperfections because he's perfect. And so now you decide, I got to write what's going on with me. But when you're looking at your spouse, the other half, or the person you're one with, and all you're seeing is their imperfection, you're like, I don't see me in that. That's them. You're not taking responsibility. You're not seeing your part in it because you don't have a good mirror to look through. But when you're looking at the perfection of Yah, you start seeing all of your mess. And at the moment, you may not correct the thing. You may sit in the mud for a minute, waddle in it, just like a little pig, a nasty, defiled, unclean pig. But we're not swine. Clean yourself up. The way to do it is turn back to Yahuwah's instructions. Magnify his name. And remember, not just you are one with him, but you're one with your spouse and you're one with him together. Got to change your focus. And then you got to also remember, what are you responsible for? You're not just responsible for yourself, you're responsible for your spouse, and you're also responsible again for your children. So what kind of example are you wanting to give them? What are you wanting to teach them? You want to teach them that you can hold a grudge and keep it going and now lose love? That you can fall out of love as if that's a real reality. That's something that can happen. Yeah, in man's world you can. But if you're the image of Yah, how can Yah fall out of your love with you? If he does not change, if he loved you, for him to fall out of love with you, he would have to change. How are you being his image if you willfully made a choice to love this person? And most of us went through the Christian way, and to death do us part. And now you're saying, forget death. I want to depart. And it's not because of sexual immorality. It's all irreconcilable differences. Just like you can choose to love them in the first place, you can choose to love them again. The fact that you're in love with Yahuwah and he's in love with you and he doesn't change, you can allow your love for him to change you. You're the variable. He's constant. It's work. Marriage is work. You should come home and that should be your peace. Yes, men, women, yeah, your husband should not, come home and dump on you all of the stuff at work, but this is things that you have to communicate and you have to build towards. Men, you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to do what I want to do, and you're going to have to deal with it. This is my money. It's your family. Your steward. So if you're not doing what's best for your family with your money, you're not operating like Yah. And how often do we see in his word that he lets man in on the plan? So if you're saying that you're the body or the bride of Yahuwah, Yahusha, well, however you want to say it, and you too stubborn to share the information, you ain't operating like Yah. You sound a little bit like that other dude that want to be a father, Hasatan. Hmm. You shouldn't want no parts of that. You should want to cut ties with that altogether. That no, not. But hey, I'm just rambling a little bit. You know, let me see. I felt like rambling, and I done basically talked on some things. I done talked for a nice little minute. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it with this and talk on this. Fashion. Man, I had a hand in designing and doing this. It doesn't cost as much as a lot of these designer labels of people that don't look like me. Hey, you could have and wear whatever, but man, why do people go broke on fashion? Why do people stand in long lines, fight each other for fashion? Isn't the purpose of clothes just to protect and have you covered? But I gotta have it first. And you find out over 100, maybe 1,000 people have that same thing. It's not custom, but yet you're paying top dollar for it. To impress who? And you're going broke a lot of times for it. Some people have a closet full of shoes, but barely have a car to drive in. Are you going to walk everywhere you go? Nah, no, I don't think so. So why is your priority new shoes? You're not even using them like that. Shoes are made to walk in. If the priority is transportation or getting there, $200 shoes and multiple ones that you're not wearing all the time, what benefit? Especially if all your bills and everything are not taken care of and you have debt, you're not prioritizing what you're doing. You're not being a good steward. Those things, if you got it, I'm not telling you not to do it. But if you're operating in debt, you don't have it. And if you're a parent, husband, mother, got children, that's bad stewardship. I'm in your business right now. That's bad stewardship. Bad stewardship. Fashion. Oh, I go to work almost every day, so I'm wearing my work clothes most of the time. I rarely even really get to wear my clothes. And I got so many clothes because I've made them. And I have so many clothes that my wife had old shirts. She made me a quilt out of my old shirts because I had so many that I was not wearing. We're wasteful as a people. We put money towards stuff that really is not going to get any use. And then what? We always talk about we don't have no money. You don't have no money because sometimes you're getting things that, you have to have a new outfit for this event or whatever. Do you really? And who are you impressing? As one night, impress yourself. Put some money in your bank account, some savings. Get some life insurance. But again, nothing wrong with fashion, but sometimes people put way too much. I've seen so many people talk about how ugly Kanye fashion was, but of course, still people buying it. Never bought any of this stuff myself. I'm not a hater of his stuff or whatever, but I just don't see the wisdom in spending that much money on something. All of the clothes I have probably doesn't cost nowhere near, some people's weekly clothing. All my clothes together probably cost less. But I guess that does come to be because I've actually produced the things or whatever. So, I'm not trying to shame anybody or whatever, but it's just like, why would you put yourself in debt just to look like you have something when you don't? It doesn't make sense. Cars, they're to get to a destination. Why do you have to have such a car note that you're basically living check to check? Get you something that gets you there. And what? just because it looks all this or whatever, it's like people like to look wealthy and stuff like that, and actually haven't taken care of their health and their well-being, not taking care of their spouse, they're not taking care of their children. Their responsibilities are lacking, but everything looks good. They're at every event. They have knew this, knew that. Your stewardship is up. Right now I'm challenging your stewardship. If y'all was to ask you, what did you do with this? What did you do with that? What would you say? You were focused on looking good. I don't know. I don't get none of this stuff. I don't, get it. People get broke trying to look good for somebody else, and most time the people be talking about you. You think he ought to, you really ain't getting the accolades that you think you getting off of this stuff. You done spent all this money trying to impress people that don't really even care about you. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I guess I'm always been out of loop. I've never been into the fashion and stuff like that. So it's just, maybe it's not for me, but I don't want to down nobody and make nobody feel bad about it. But I just don't get why you would put yourself in debt and not handle your responsibilities for those things. If you're taking care of your business and you're doing fashion, oh man. But no, don't not pay your bills to look good. Don't have to have people, I guess, do a GoFundMe for you to be buried because all of your resources are in your clothes. You have rooms full of clothes, but not able to bury yourself, or you didn't pay for your plot or whatever. That don't make sense. But that's the reality of this world. Life insurance don't cost that much, really, but people don't have it. When I used to sell it and stuff like that, I'd like, man, come on, you can get close to 200,000. Most young people can get over $200,000 worth of life insurance for under $60, and they spend that on fast food. I'm like, they eat more than that in fast food in 2-3 days. But I guess because it's not accumulating a lot of times money that they can touch right now while they're alive, they're like, oh, well, they'll just have to bury me. They basically are okay with leaving people with distress and drama to deal with. Oh, I'm dead. They can worry about that. And I'm like, do you want to leave your children like that? Do you want to leave your spouse like that? Do you want to have your spouse concerned about missing work to come bury you because they know that they're living check to check already and worked before, but now if they miss work to bury you and even pay for you to be buried, they may get put out of the home. So you're gone, and now they're living in a shelter or having to go back and live with her parents, or you didn't leave them in a condition that they could survive and survive without struggle. You are a horrible steward, and how is that love? I'm speaking, to situations. I'm not speaking specifically to people because, the people who have done that, they're gone. What anything I'm saying now is of no benefit, and of course, it's still an opinion because, again, one size does not fit all. A lot of the things that I've been through in life, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's you," and they're right. That's me. Me marrying my high school sweetheart, everybody ain't done that. Me having a horrible first marriage, I used to blame it all on her, but no, if I be honest, me being a man, I did not do my diligence on a lot of things, and I did not take accountability. I was very culpable. No, she was not innocent completely, But I would have to take the bigger weight of the responsibility because, for one, I am a man. I went into that thing with a level of control that was supposed to be in my hand, and I submitted that. That's on me. Harboring and being mad at my ex for what? I don't even have no dealings with her, really. You know, I see my children and I deal with them and love on them. They're adults, but I don't have any dealings with her. So what benefit is it to harbor anything for her? I wish her well, just well without me. But Abiyah, thank you. I'm going to end this and close this out right now. I thank you for just allowing me to speak and ramble a bit, share some of my opinions. I know that some will probably find scriptural reasons to refute some of the stuff I say. That's fine. Because one of the things that I know from reading your word, yeah, is that the people in your word, a lot of them were just living life. And their lives became scripture, became the stories that we live by. They didn't always have the text right before them, using it as a measuring rod. We happen to be in a greater benefit of having it as a measuring rod. And being that I'm one that studies and is guided by your instructions, even though I don't say chapter and verse, a lot of what I've lived in your word influences my opinions. So I thank you for giving me this moment and this opportunity just to speak. And hopefully whoever heard got a benefit. Those that have critique, I'm welcoming that too. But I definitely thank you for this opportunity. May love, peace, and well-being be on all. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shalom. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.